ship or boat. It's a sailboat, big sailboat, but used for the freighter. You know the.
Do you think it also had a motor or just
No,
sail?
no motor, no motor. All the boats had the motor on were all mobilized by the government to the military use. So that was. You saw the picture in our house and the upstairs. It's a junk ship
Yeah.
picture in the wall.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. Okay, little bit bigger, so it could hold maybe about 50, 60 people, you know, with the belongings. Okay, so it was a hatch underneath, so everybody, you know, packed in at the hatch underneath, and
Do you think that your parents knew the people that owned the boat, or?
yeah, just that it's not necessarily the owner of the boat was in charge. There was some guy, with influential guys. They had 4 or 5 boats available there, and then they assigned who can go on and then on, right? So even I was questioned, you know, they picked who can go on and so on. But somehow I managed to sneak in. Okay. Yeah, so it was. That was, you know, that again, if I didn't have that kind of, what shall I say, ability to sneak around and to do that, you know, it was impossible. So
You think that they wanted to maybe let your parents on, but not the
that's
children?
right, yeah, it's a limit
Yeah.
per family, you know. So
who was with you? Your mother and your father?
and the oldest brother. Yeah, he managed to hide throughout the summer, so avoid the draft to the army. I mean, to the military in North Korea. So so 4 of us made on that boat. So once I got on, I just hid in the crevice, you know, and didn't even breathe. So that was probably about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. It was pitch dark, you know, the December December about 16th or so. So they finally decided, okay, take off, and they would or sail out. And everybody in that group on that ship, everybody thought we would be back in 3 months. Okay, they never thought we'd completely leave the town in Hongwon. So, but the strange thing I still vividly remember is I heard some young man with a high voice say, "Goodbye, Hongwon." He was you know, that was strange sounded. That guy is crazy, we all thought, you know. We'll be back in 3 months. And then he had some vision, and I still think that was very unusual. And some guy had that kind of vision, and I didn't see him but I heard it. It was so dark, and so you don't see him. And then we left that harbor, and we sailed to next port was Samho. Samho is where my sister's orchard was. So we went in there and stayed there, I think, one night. At any rate, we stayed there, I think, at least one night. And the following day, my mother had sent me some errand to my sister's house, which I had visited a couple of times, so I knew where that was. So I went there, and I don't know exactly what was the errand. She had something asked my sister to do something. I think my mother, we left one luggage. It was so limited that you cannot take the luggage on the ship. So one luggage we left in the somebody near that harbor and house. So tell her that to go fetch it. I think that was the message. So I went to my sister's and the store, and the sister gave me a sack of apples, and then I came back. And that's why I told you that within 5 minutes, this North Korean, the communist militia, I guess it's militia or guerrillas, they were already approaching the harbor. So if I were just 5 minutes late, I would have not been here. And actually, one of my father's friends were on that boat, somehow missed the boat, didn't come. So after we were left, I said, "Oh, where is Mr. Kim, where is he?" I don't know. He left and he didn't come back. That was it. Mm-hmm. So his family, his wife and the younger children were on the boat too. They were all screaming, "Where is he? Later, found out that he just stranded in there, and my sister was telling me he had a miserable life, and within several months he just died. And his family who went to South, the house was broken. The kids didn't. They all went bad ways, and so on. So
you said at your sister's house it was about 3 miles or something that you had to travel?
Maybe less than 3 miles, 2 miles. That time the distance looked so far, but it's actually at that time the 1 mile felt so far. Yeah.
And so as you arrived back at the boat, the guerrillas were...
That's right. Within 5 minutes, we started hearing the gunshots, from distance and so on. And then actually we were off the dark and maybe about a couple hundred yards out. We saw the bullets go through the sail. You know? it was a touch and go situation that time. So fortunately,
your parents must have been getting very anxious, waiting for you to come back.
No, that time didn't know, didn't expect.
Yeah.
This was really surprise attack coming.
Yeah.
You know, there was when my mother sent me there, didn't expect that kind of thing would happen. It was, no such thing was expected. So we left there and then started head south. Okay. Now, from that point on, everyone said, okay, we might as well go to Busan. Okay. So, to go to Busan, you have to go pretty open sea and very windy, high seas. And we were sailing for about 2 days.
And it was very cold, right?
Very cold, and cold wasn't, everybody had to put layers of clothing on, so it's tolerable, it's okay. And we were all in the hunkered down in the hatch, so it's not that. But the choppy water was scary, and you can hear this squeaking sounds of the mast, and this it's almost like the ship is gonna wreck any moment, and so we were way out the open sea for about 2 days, I think, and then we were not allowed to go on top of the deck. They're all down in the hatch, and they said overhearing. They say, "Oh, there's a luggage floating by." Some kind of other ships going by. They wrecked, and so about in 2 days. The people up there, in charge of navigating, they were discussing that, we cannot go on, we cannot go, we have to go back and wait. So it actually pretty far out and then pushed back in. As we push back in, if we push back, it's just 5-10 miles north, we would have been trapped. Fortunately,
you would have been in communist control.
Already they were there. So fortunately, we navigated into the Hungnam port, which was UN force control. That was a big port ready for the strategic point that about 10-15 miles periphery, they set up, and that's where main U.S. troops retreated from there. So we went into that port, and then we saw this soldiers gathering, or these refugees, in big schoolyards, and organizing, lining up, and so on. So there we stayed maybe about 2 days. in abandoned houses. All the houses were abandoned. You just go in there and wait it out, and then you just search for food and any house. And so we stayed there about 2 days, and then we they really organized well the military, for the refugee retreat. So we had 100 each in line, in groups, and then you just marched to the ship. There was probably about, I think the ship we went on was, they came there with all these cargoes, military cargoes, and they emptied out and then just going back. And we walked probably about mile or so to the ship. Already, you walk by the burning houses, that about less than a mile away over the hill, this U.S. fighter bombers bombing over the hill, and some battleships, bombarding with big guns over the hill and so on. So we left Hungnam port.
Do you know what ship you got on?
I don't know the name. Is my brother used to know the name. I knew that name too, but
was it an American?
Oh yeah, all American ship.
It had an American name.
Yeah, I don't know. That was later. I saw they were big shipping company. Mm. They had several of them, same names.
Mm.
Any rate.
About how big of a ship was it, or how many people?
Maybe 7,000 tons, or maybe 10,000 tons. Pretty big cargo ship. Big hatches, deep hatches. So everybody was just sitting on the floor on the big hatches. So we left, I think, December either 23 or 24th. I'm not exactly sure, but the one thing sure is that we were halfway down alongside the Korean Peninsula. It happened to be Christmas Day, and this shipmates, not the military people. It's all ship mates, I guess. Crews. They were throwing these candies, candies, and so I remember I got a couple of chocolate and enjoyed that.
As soon as you got onto the ship, did you have a sense of relief then?
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, as they all take a big sigh of relief. Mm-hmm. And say, "Oh, now we are alive. We are alive." that, and that scene on that port, that was a pretty big industrial port, okay, and there were probably 50,000 refugees just swarmed in that port, okay, but they all well organized and lined up. That big picture was on Life magazine, cover. That and there, I don't think that was me, but my brother, while he was in the U.S. Army, he retreated, along with his unit. Later, he didn't know what our fate was. But when he saw that Life magazine said, all these refugees from north on Seongnam Harbor, he thought he spotted my face in there. So he really believed that we were safe in the south. Later, we randomly wrote a letter to his unit. His unit, we knew the address.
Mm.
So when we went to Koje Island in the South Korea, my brother wrote the letter, just shotgun, try, okay, and that delivered to him.
Mm.
So he responded right away, and then he somehow managed to get a week of vacation, and he came to visit us in the refugee camp in Koche Island.
When do you think that was?
Oh, that was way after. That was January of 1951.
But within a month or so.
Yeah, within a month. Anyway, so
the trip was about 2 or 3 days or so?
Yeah, about 3 days. 3 days. So we didn't land Busan. They set up a refugee camp in Koje Island. Koje Island. It's off of southwest